Hello everybody, welcome back to Learning CAD Unit 2, Part C. Today we're going to be talking about reference geometry. My name's Cam. We have a little change of scenery today as I'm home for the holidays. We're going to hop right into reference geometry. So, what is reference geometry? So in this case, reference is just meaning something that's not part of the object that we want to create. Instead, it's something we're using as a reference. And geometry is just things in a CAD program. So this is just geometry that we're going to use as a reference, but it's not going to be part of our final object, right? So why would we use this? The big reason that we'd use this is because in the past, right, before this, we've sketched on the default planes that generate when you start a part, and we've sketched on the sides of parts that we've already created. But what if you'd like to sketch somewhere out in space, right? Well, reference geometry is how that's done. First, let's talk about planes. These are the most common type of reference geometry that's used. You can use this in any file, so that means parts and assemblies. And as I said before, you use this when you need to sketch somewhere where you don't have a plane or a face already, right? Let's demo that. I have this little part here. And we're in the Features menu. We'll go to Reference Geometry. We'll click on Plane, and then we get a Plane menu. There's a number of different options that we can configure by choosing different references, the simplest of which is just clicking on a plane or a face that we already have and defining a distance out from that face. See, I just created a plane with a distance out right here. You could also do something like this, maybe where you had a plane and then a point. And what this will do is create a plane that is parallel with the first plane that you selected and coincident with the point that you selected second. So that's kind of a cool little thing that we can do. All right, and so you can see how this would be useful, right? In a lot of cases, right, we are not sketching or directly on top of geometry that we already have. So, for example, let's say that I wanted to kind of continue with a plane that is vertical like this, but is at the edge of my existing shape. That'd be pretty easy with this reference geometry thing, because I just click Reference Geometry, go to Plane, and in my little Plane menu, click the right plane, and then I click this point. Ooh, click the wrong thing. Whenever you click the wrong thing, you can always go to the box where the wrong thing is. So I accidentally clicked on this edge right here. So I'll go down to this where it says edge. You can just right click, hit delete, and then go at it again. Ah, nice. Now I can continue sketching and extruding this way. Lovely. So planes are the main reason. But let's talk about some other reasons that you might want to use reference geometry. So one other big reason that we have is creating axes, right? So in that menu, you probably saw when I selected reference geometry, there was planes, axes, points, and coordinate systems in the menu. Those options might come in handy, especially axis if you're using rotation features, right? Which we talked about in Unit 1, Part E, right? So those are features where we're taking a sketch and rotating it around an axis. Well, if our axis isn't in a sketch nicely for us, we can actually create them ourselves. We'll show you that in a second. And then they're also kind of just generally useful, and also we'll demo those two things. All right, so let's talk axes. Say that I wanted to make a revolved shape that was around my circular hole here. I could go to Reference Geometry, Axis, and then choose one of these options for selections. So in this case, I would choose cylindrical/conical face. Then just choose this line or this edge or this face. And now see in the yellow, we've generated a nice axis. You can also create axes at the intersection between two planes, which is quite useful as shown here. So for example, if I wanted to create an axis between this top plane and the plane I just created, I can choose them both, having selected the two planes option, and now in yellow we're shown an axis. And there's also other options here, but those are the ones I find myself using most commonly. And then Okay, this will be a pause. I'll cut this out of the video. Totally forgot what I was going to say. The fuck was I going to say here? Okay, so lastly, let's talk about some general usefulness of planes, especially. A lot of times, one way that I use planes is to kind of visually mark for myself a line that I really want to make sure I don't cross. So, for example, say that this part was being attached near a wall or something, and this is a bolt hole. Well, instead of make just having to do due diligence and marking it on every sketch, what I might do instead is just create reference geometry plane, then come off this right plane, whatever the specified distance is, let's call it 4 inches. And then that's a nice line that I can reference in sketches and that I can know visually, like, okay, that's the wall in real life, don't cross it. So this has been Reference Geometry. See you in the next one.